One of the questions I almost always get when I'm doing a master class talking about how I play the snare drum is, do I change my grip when I'm playing single strokes from loud to soft, or when I'm switching from singles to a roll? And the answer is yes, I do. When you hold the stick, you want to make sure that whether you're using matched grip or traditional grip, that you're not holding the stick with a lot of finger pressure and being really tense, because you're going to inhibit, first of all, you're going to inhibit the movement of the stick. Now, you don't want to be too loose because you don't want it flopping around, but you don't want to inhibit the bounce of the stick. You're going to toss that stick and ride that bounce. That's how you get speed. But you also want to make sure that you're allowing the wood in the stick to sing. Let me just show you the difference. If I hold the stick tightly, that's the sound I get. Now listen to the difference. I think it's pretty obvious you can hear the difference in the two. That's what you want to have. You want to have that singing sound of the wood, because that contributes to your overall sound, whether you're playing on a concert snare drum, or whether you're playing a drum set, playing cymbals. That contributes to that sound that you're going to get. Now, for me, in the right hand, I like to hold the stick at the first joint of the second joint of the index finger. Some people hold it at the first joint with a thumb on the side, and I just let these fingers, if I'm playing single strokes, these fingers are slightly in contact with the stick. They're not squeezing the stick, they're just kind of touching. And that's what I use, that's the grip I use. Now if I were playing match grip, I would do the same thing in both hands. But in the left hand, because I play traditional grip, I would have these two fingers, the index finger and middle finger, in contact with a little more with the stick than I would if I were playing a roll. So that's grip number one. If I'm playing singles, I'm going to have that grip. Now, when I'm playing something very, very soft that requires a lot of control, like Bolero or Shostakovich 7th Symphony, I like to use more of the large muscle group of the starting from the shoulder, rather than just using my wrists and not, the large muscle group for me makes it easier to control the sticks when you need to. So it's so forth. Now, when I go from single strokes to a roll, I'm going to back the fingers away from the stick so that the stick has more freedom to move with the bounces. So these two fingers are going to be off the stick. So basically the stick is being held by the fulcrum. I'm not going to have these fingers in contact like I would if I were playing single strokes. So going from single strokes, I'm going to back those fingers off so I get a nice clean roll. Now, there's basically three strokes that I use. And the first one is the full stroke, which is your normal starting position. And just a word about when you're playing a forte or fortissimo, you don't have to start at a foot high. You can start at 8 inches, and that's plenty. That's going to be enough. That's going to be enough volume. You want to keep the stick tip levels as low as possible. and particularly when you're playing a fast passage. Now, when I'm making the next stroke, the reason for that is so that I can go from playing loud to playing very softly without any break. Now what I'm doing is I'm using what's called a downstroke. And that is when I'm starting at the full stroke position, instead of letting the stick come back up, I'm squeezing just slightly with these fingers in the back to stop the stick very close to the drum head. That's a downstroke. The last one is one that's useful if you've got a conductor that has kind of a vague, iffy downbeat. You're not sure where it's gonna fall. And if you're here and you're waiting for that downbeat, and you've got a loud note on the downbeat, if you're starting here, by the time you get to the drum head, it's going to be late. So what I do is I use an upstroke. I'm waiting here, and there I am. Same thing. Now you can practice these. You can practice upstrokes, downstrokes, and full strokes. But you always want to have that sound so you hear that stick sing. So that's what I do. That's the technique that I use. I do use different grips and different muscle groups. Remember what I said about using the larger muscle group starting at the shoulder for pieces like Bolero and Shostakovich 7th Symphony and so forth, or anything we have to play really, really super soft. And that should, I hope that helps, and I'll catch you on the next one.